Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Cox. I'm a member of the Netcapital team. Let's allow one moment for people to settle in, and then we'll dig right into the live Q&A with Katsh Digital ID. Thank you. While we are waiting, I recognize that we're exactly 1 week away from Thanksgiving for folks that are celebrating here in the Americas. Do want to wish you all a very pleasant Thanksgiving and safe travels. I know one thing that I'm thankful for, you all. Every single one of y'all, and especially our fantastic issuers. So we're going to get to meet Eli Farhood here, who is the CEO and founder of Katsh Digital ID. But people are trickling in, so let's allow a couple more moments for folks to trickle in. I'll give a couple of housekeeping updates, and then we'll dig right into our programming.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Eric. My pleasure.
Uh, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you. Um, so with that being said, actually, I'll go ahead and start kicking us off here. I know. As I mentioned, hello, I'm Eric Cox. I'm a member of the Netcapital team. A couple quick housekeeping items. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Eli Farhood, as I mentioned, the founder and CEO of Katsh Digital ID. As always, they're actively raising capital on the Netcapital platform. You can go to netcapital.com and search Katsh, Katsh, or you can go directly to netcapital.com/companies/Katsh Digital ID. Again, that would be Katsh Digital ID, and that'll be the direct link. Or if you are along with me present in the Zoom, then you can actually select the link directly in the chat, which I'm adding right now. So you can actually select that direct link. Once you are there, you'll be able to review the offering page and the offering statement. You can learn more about what they're building at Katsh, and you too can invest and own a piece of the company. So with all that being said, quick housekeeping. Please do use the Q&A feature built into Zoom. I know I just used the chat feature. I'm going to use that to share the things with you all, but please do use the Q&A feature. That is the easiest way to track all the questions as they come in. And we do want you to ask your questions. We want to keep this as interactive as possible. So please do participate, and please do use the Q&A. That's the easiest way for me to track all the questions and get to as many of them as possible. Okay. We're going to use the Q&A feature. We're going to ask a bunch of questions. We're going to keep this super engaging. With all that being said, now it's the time that you've all waited for. Please welcome an issuer on the Netcapital platform, Eli. Eli, before you tell us about what you're building with Katsh, tell us a little bit about where you are right now. I know you're on the road. You're at a cybersecurity conference right now. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm actually airing now from Beverly Hills, the Constellation Star Avenue, where there's at the Fairmont a cybersecurity summit. So we're taking part of this summit to meet potential customers and show our product to the world. We're actually just let me just say that we are remaking our page on Netcapital because we had a lot of updates that we haven't yet, put in there, and it's not fair that someone, visit our page and they see the old offering. So there's been a lot of things taking place. One of the things that I will really want to mention is really exciting is that we started engaging with a payment processor here in LA, and the engagement has a very strong potential for our company. We are still baby, we're still early, and having this milestone taking place right now is a big win for us. So let me just quickly tell you more about what's going on there. So payment processors, I don't know if the attendees know about this or maybe you know about this, but let me just give a quick preview on how that works. You got MasterCard, Visa, right? These are the payment gateways, and you have payment processors. These are the folks that are in between the payment gateways and are us, the consumers and businesses. And so payment processors are a very important part of any transaction we do, whether it's online or offline. Whenever you swipe that card, payment processors are providing you the device, the very phone. There's like a million models because there are so many payment processors out there. And they're providing you the connectivity with Visa as a gateway. And what happens, in between, and this happens all in a flash of a second, they're connecting with your bank and they're connecting with the bank of the seller, and they're checking that funds are available and they're processing the transaction. So yeah, we are very happy to start engaging with the payment processor. But why they were interested in Katsh? And this is a question that I asked them personally, because when they first heard about our product, They actually initiated the contact, and they wanted to learn more. And my first question was like, why Catch provides value for you? That was like the first straight. I ask anyone who wants to do business with us, like, why you're interested. And they said, well, you're saving two big problems we have. First problem is the friction on the client end. When you're swiping your card, whether it's a debit card or it's a credit card, you either has to sign or enter a PIN, right? This is friction. And also you're solving a big problem for us for the hardware deployment. So hardware, normally they cost money, right? They need to be developed. They have a team engineer. I met their team of engineers, 25 engineers just to build that. So that's a cost, right? They have to deploy that hardware. They have to maintain it. So that's also additional cost. And it all adds up to hurt their margins at the end of the day. And so they 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 notice that because we're able to solve the friction, we are device agnostic. It works anywhere. They were like, this is really what we need as a payment processor. And they can run it on any hardware, could be an iPad at the store. And so they serve mostly mom and pop businesses, small businesses, which is really our sweet spot because we don't want to engage with the large customers right now. We're not trying to scale. We're trying to beta test and deploy the technology and show them how it works. And so we want to engage with those folks. So they have about 600 small businesses. They're a profitable company. So yeah, we're very excited about that. And now we're actually trying to take notice of this interest. Like we never thought that payment processors have that big. I personally didn't think that like, okay, I swipe my card. What's the difference between scanning my hand on a device or swiping my card? Is that big difference? It turns out there is a big difference. When you have high volume of transactions, when people are just waiting in line, we see it at a Starbucks, we see it all over the place. That friction also affects their back end. It affects their infrastructure and it costs them money. So yeah, this is one of the major updates. I think I've been also announcing, throwing other announcements, like we started engaging with the Silicon Valley Launch Fund. So this is a big angel fund in Silicon Valley. They're interested to invest in Catch, and they're backed by Jason Calacanis. He's very famous. Anyone can Google him. So we're very happy and proud that Jason is interested in this product. And I actually met Jason back before COVID, like in 2018. There was this lunch event in San Francisco. I was there and I met him in person. We had a conversation about cybersecurity because he was always interested in cybersecurity. But yeah, today we're part of that program. And this is really a great program. Actually, we're learning so much every day. We're getting contacts, we're getting intros to clients and their investor network as well. But that's kind of like a later stage. They offered to invest now at the valuation that we're discussing. I can't really give details right now. But yeah, this is the cool thing we're doing right now. These two major milestones, we're very happy that we're getting there. But this is not our vision. The vision actually for the future is something bigger, much bigger. And that's why we have Visa and we have those logos on our pages. These are not decoration. Visa shows our company among 5 fintech startups. We're not fintech. Just let me clarify. We're a cybersecurity firm, right?
Mm-hmm,
We're
mm-hmm,
identity access. But to put us in fintech, they saw the value that we can provide for retailers. They saw the
mm-hmm.
value that we can provide in the fintech space as
And what
a
an improvement
very
on customer experience when instead of having to have that friction like you described, improving the customer experience is super critical. And I know you're brimming with all the exciting things that are happening at the company, but I want to pause for just a quick moment, Eli, because I want to come back to all the successes you're having and all the things that you'd like to update. But I do want to give for the folks who are unfamiliar or just learning about your company, let's take one quick step back and talk a little bit about what is the problem and how is Katsh Digital Solution the solution that provides that cybersecurity infrastructure. So can you dig into problem and solution for a moment, and we'll keap going into all the successes as well in a moment.
absolutely the problem today is that you got data breaches that are happening every other week. I mean, I remember back in the days, 2015, when I had my first identity fraud, which was a miserable experience. I don't wish it for my enemies. I remember we used to learn about data breaches happening maybe once a year, at the most, maybe once every 2 years. Major data breaches. I'm not talking about like small businesses being breached. But nowadays, you see data breaches every other week. And who's getting breached? It's not a mom and pop business. It's not an SME. It's actually a large multinational company like Microsoft, like Equifax, like AT&T, like the FBI. Recently, 3 billion social security numbers were compromised. Think about that, Eric. 3 billion social security numbers. So the problem lies there. Our information are in the wrong hands. And now
Yeah.
hacking groups are able to leverage that data and leverage AI. This is the new thing on the block. AI. AI provides, it's not just accessible by Sam Altman. It's not only accessible by YC or the big guys, Microsoft. It's actually accessible by everyone, by sovereign players, by hacking groups. AI is an open source now. And this is a big, big problem because AI allows you to automate all your attacks and make them legit and look real and genuine and fool a lot of people that normally don't fall for it. Remember back in the days when you see an email that is sketchy, it's normally they have like English grammar mistakes. The graphic doesn't look so good. Like you can tell it's just made up. Now it's a totally different area. We used to track emails. We used to block emails. Now we can't block them anymore. They can send through AI in a different email address every day. You block one, they send another one, different address. All this tells you that we're headed in a danger zone of identity access. I'm really not trying to scare anyone. And the fact that there are so many data breaches and our information are compromised, now they have our passwords. In some cases, they have our passwords, they have our emails. They can compromise our devices. And when that happens, they can access our one-time passcode. They can access our Google Authenticator. They can access any kind of security stuff we have on our devices. So how do you solve that? It's a big problem, right? That was actually the genesis of Catch. That's how we started building Catch. We wanted to eliminate credentials because credentials are the vulnerability that we have in place today when it comes to identity access or when it comes to network security. I'm sure a lot of people heard about MGM. There was a ransomware at MGM. MGM was frozen for many months. They lost hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. They couldn't even accept a client. Everything was literally shut down. Why? Because one of the employees' identity was compromised at MGM. And then what was the repercussion? They were able to put a ransomware on the network and freeze the system and ask for money to be paid. There you go. Identity is crucial. 80%, Eric, 80% of fraud that takes place globally is based on identity credentials that is stolen. So this tells you why we're really hitting on a huge market, a huge market. We're talking about 80, now it actually climbed to 85 billion, but that market is growing at 17% compound annual growth rate. By
Yeah.
2030, it's going to by 2030 it's going to become a $200 billion market. So
Yeah.
there's a strong market opportunity here that we can all capitalize on. Catch can capitalize on, and any investor who bets us as well will benefit from that.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, the new wave of hacking and access controls through AI especially is really concerning. So problem, obviously, credentials are vulnerable in their nature. Talk a little bit about the Katsh Digital ID solution and how the biometric answer is one that you're really excited about.
Yeah, let me tell you something. When we started building this, it was meant for the military. But when I fell victim to fraud twice, we started discovering the problem. And like I was thinking maybe I was singled out. Maybe this is something that is not frequent. Like it doesn't happen every day this way. And it turns out hundreds of millions of people, we uncovered that hundreds of millions of people actually go through this on a yearly basis globally. Okay, so it's a big problem. And we started thinking about a solution from that standpoint. Okay, so there's a big problem, there's a big market. The problem lies in data breaches and our information being in the wrong hand with hacking groups. How do we solve this? Well, we had two things to do. First of all, we wanted to eliminate credentials, passwords, two-factor authentication, all that noise that no one likes, that is creating friction. And the friction is causing the average Joe, let's put it this way, to not abide by the rules. People, when it's too hard and security is hard, people are not going to opt in. And this is how they create vulnerabilities. You know, these hacking groups are scanning our devices, scanning the web day and night. They're working so hard to try to find whenever someone is vulnerable. They haven't taken all the security steps needed to get in, snoop in, access that device, and do whatever they want. So we wanted to stop that by eliminating credentials. That was the first element. The second element, so not just credential, obviously, in all the nuances of one-time codes and stuff like that. But the second element, which is very crucial, is giving you back control over your data. Today, when I fell victim to fraud, it really wasn't my guilt. I had a no say in this, and it can happen to the best people in the world. And that's why a lot of people, rich and famous, they freeze their identities. They freeze it because they don't want to deal with that hassle. They have a team of engineers taking care of that. The average Joe cannot afford that, right? Not everyone is a billionaire. And so we're trying to bring that security to everyone. We want to democratize access using strong, very strong biometric. Like I said, we were building this for the military first, and then we thought there is a strong civilian application. So why not? Let's try to go there. It's much faster, more deployable, easy. Everyone has a smart device today. So yeah, we want to eliminate credentials. That's the first equation. The second equation is to give you back control over your data. That's what we want. When I fell victim to fraud, someone used my information, contacted my bank over the phone, and claimed my identity. We want to stop that. But how do you stop that? We decided to allow people to authorize who can use their information every time they need it. It's as simple as that. And so whenever you authorize, every time you need your information for that institution to use it, then you're protecting yourself from abuse. Then even if someone has my information, right? History shows you no one was able to protect information. If Microsoft can't protect you, if Apple can't protect you, then no one can protect you. Let's put it this way. They have deep pockets, they're trillion-dollar companies, they have engineers in the thousands, right? If they can't protect themselves, then everyone is vulnerable. And so based on those facts, we decided, okay, let's allow people to authorize who can use their information. Just a quick example. Let's say I want to create a credit account, right?
Mhm.
That bank would require my hand signature. It's like a consent. Do you use my information for this particular reason on that day from that location? And every time you want to do that so that your information cannot be compromised or abused behind your back, like it happened with me. And, I always look back and see, was that a bad thing? I really think it was the best thing that ever happened to me for victim
Yeah.
to fraud because I created Katsh, which is one of the best opportunities in my lifetime, probably.
Yeah, let's talk about and I love that kind of I love when the need comes from a personal experience like that. That's so obviously core to where you are now. And I'm sorry that you had that experience, but we're grateful that you had it so that we can bring Catch to market. So talk a little bit about how the Catch Digital ID solution would have prevented one of those incidents of fraud. So instead of being able to just get your credentials online, call the bank, authorize something, tell us a little bit about kind of what the user experience is with the Catch Digital ID.
Absolutely. Let's say you're on the phone with your bank and they want to verify who you are. You just scan your hand on your device. It's over. No one is going to ask you questions about your mother's maiden name or about your puppy's name or any kind of security questions that everyone hates. No one is going to ask you how much money you have in your bank. No one's going to ask you about your social security number that people hate to even talk about it. Like I could be at a cafe, and if I'm on my back with my back on the phone, I don't want to provide this sensitive information. People,
Mm,
you know, taking my phone number or listening to my social security number. So there's a lot of problem with the current processes, and they're very invasive in that sense, right? And so based on those facts, it's going to be just a hand scan. You could be going to if you can visit our website now, we have put a new video that show the vision of Catch for the future. You just use your hand. You can make a payment. You can unlock your parking lot. You can unlock your gate. You can unlock your house door. You can do everything with your hand. You go to the gym. You don't need your keys. You don't need your phone. Go to the gym, scan your hand, and get in. You don't need to carry anything on you. You're on the beach. That's a great example how people can use Catch. You can make a purchase by at the vending machine. You can buy whatever you want. You don't have to have your wallet on. Think of the positive impact we can create when people stop using plastic cards, when they stop losing plastic cards, when your plastic cards stop working for a reason, right? All this hassle it's not just costing the environment, which really take care, we really care about the environment like everyone else. The environment is so important. It's for the next generation in our, you know, we're looking 100 years from now, right? But apart from the climate problem, there's another problem. It's so much friction. Every time my credit card is has an unauthorized transaction, you want to send me one by mail, and I have to wait a few days to get one. Like all this is just not the way it should be. This is how, and our view. When security becomes hassleful, no one wants to use it. Security has to be easy, otherwise it won't be adopted. And that's what we're trying to do with Catch. And so just imagine that your hand, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Asian, whether you're, it doesn't matter. The beauty about the hand is that it does not discriminate. Like people don't maybe look at this problem, but facial recognition has been very famous and notoriously famous to discriminate, right? And the reason why it discriminates, it's an AI problem. When you happen to have a dark skin on your face, sometimes AI struggles to find your eyebrow, black on black, or there's not enough contrast. The beauty about the hand is that no matter what race you're coming from, we all have a bright palm. And that is so strong. Just think about that. Actually, Black people tend to have a higher confidence score that's based on our lab tests than white people because their lines are more visible, just to give you an idea. But we don't only, I'm just going to mention here a little trade secret. We don't only rely on lines on the hand. We take a lot of, we have 11 identifiers. Some of them are biological to make sure it's you. Catch
Yeah.
has built a strong biometric system that was, again, meant for the military. And the way it works is that it gathers 11 identifiers. 11 identifiers. So there's a lot of things happening under the hood that makes this system very powerful. And I would say, I want to say theoretically impossible to hack, but security is all about, again, the cost. Hacking groups are not, you know, it's a business. If you're on a hacking group, you're into a business, and like every business, they always measure how much it's going to cost us, right, to hack Microsoft, and how much we're going to make money out of that hack, right? So if it becomes very expensive for them to hack a system or to break it, then you're really onto something interesting in identity security.
That
And
is
this is
interesting.
what, yeah, and this is what Catch really is trying to deliver.
Yeah. And so tell me, so in the use case where somebody was able to get your information, call the bank, use the credentials, I imagine with the palm scan, you have to compare that to something. How is that information protected? What does that experience look like from, I guess, from the company side that's verifying your identity? As much as you can share without getting anything proprietary.
Yeah. From that example, let's say I want to start a credit card application, right? I go online, log into the site, I input my information. At the end, before I press submit, I'm gonna scan my hand to provide my human consent for that institution to use my information. And hackers don't have that human consent. That's why they can't use that information behind your back.
Cool. That's great.
And
So even
this
if
is
they get
how
access to the credentialing, it's that extra piece there that makes sure that,
there's this extra
I see.
layer. Exactly. They just scan their hand before they submit so that their application is sealed with the human consent of the owner of that identity.
Well, there's such interesting use cases there, and I know that you already talked about identity theft protection. We talked a little bit about privacy protection. I know, one of the key exciting pieces is kind of fast remote onboarding. But I'm going to get to that in just a moment. So we'll come over to that in just a
Excuse
moment.
me,
So
I
yeah,
just want to
yeah,
quickly mention this
please go ahead,
one
Eli.
thing because some banks makes it easy to create a credit account. I once wanted to have my credit card and I submitted an application and it took about 10 days to get back to me to let me know that I had to go to the bank in person. Some banks don't allow it, by the way, for security reasons. And that will be, very rudimentary, let's put it this way. And they asked me to go to the nearest branch and get my social security card so that they can verify I did the transaction. So it took me easily like 2.5 weeks to create a credit account. That's how bad it is. So please go ahead and continue.
No, no, that's great. No, that's good. It's a good reminder of all the friction everywhere and how many different places this can be applied. We're getting closer and closer to the halfway mark. So I want to actually, kind of start doing one more reminder. We're on the line with Eli, founder and CEO of Catch. They are actively raising capital on the Netcapital platform. You can go directly to netcapital.com and search Katsh, Katsh, or you can go directly to netcapital.com/companies/Katsh Digital ID. And that is Katsh Digital ID. Or if you are on the Zoom with us right now, you can select the link that I added into the chat feature here in Zoom. So, quick reminder for those who are getting excited about the opportunity in this application in cybersecurity, that's where you would go to be able to review the offering page and the offering statement, and you too can invest. Usually try to sneak that in around the halfway mark. So Eli and I had the pleasure of meeting at a couple of different startup events. I know you're in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills right now for the cybersecurity conference. We got to meet up in Irvine at Orange County Startup Day, and I think a couple of other events as well. And I thought this was really intriguing. But you have a couple of other folks on the team that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. Why don't you tell us a little about the team that you've been able to assemble and how you guys are working together to bring this solution to market?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every investor, they want to invest their hard-earned money in the right company, right? And when you want to invest, normally the top three things you look at is the market opportunity and the team that is running the company. Because if this team is able to execute, then you're onto a good investment. And so we proudly have a really strong team. We're all veterans in fintech, in cybersecurity. We come from prestigious organizations like HSBC, IBM, Raytheon, Symantec. I mean, those names, obviously, whenever people hear those names, they know who are these companies and what they were building in the past. Everyone knows Symantec, antivirus, for example. Raytheon builds warships and airplanes, right? And one of our engineers actually is the head of security on the infrastructure and software, Edward Bomber, for example. We're very proud to have Edward on board. He's a wealth of not just connections. He's all about development of strong security for infrastructure and SaaS, particularly for enterprise. So yeah, we have a strong team. Also, Nitin, Nitin is he's a very famous person as well. He comes from IBM. He has more than 25 years of experience there. He was the head of digital assets at IBM for the long haul. And recently he moved to State Street. I'm not sure if I lost connection.
Nope, we can hear you perfectly. Yeah, you were just saying that Nitin recently
Okay, cool,
moved to
cool.
State Street Bank recently
Yeah,
to head
you
up
kind
the
of
digital
froze
assets.
for a minute. That's fine. Yeah. Right. And so Nitin also comes from a strong background in digital assets. And when I say digital assets, like this reminds me of how we can create value as a company in that space. Because digital assets, like think of cryptocurrencies, think of blockchain, right? This is a very strong space and a strong venue for growth for Catch because the beauty, look, the future is about digital assets. Let's face it. It's like electric cars, but for the future. But the problem with digital assets is security. Today, if your private key is compromised, if anyone is able to access your private key somehow because they compromise your device, your bitcoins or any kind of coin. I don't want to be promoting any kind of asset here. Any kind of asset could be an NFT, could be your company files. A lot of, by the way, enterprise now are opting to uh, tokenize their company files into blockchain because it provides so much efficiency. So let's talk about your digital information, your data, right? If you want to protect that, you want to build a new blockchain system. And this is how we see the future. We want to build a new blockchain system that relies on identity like Catch so that no one can use that private key behind your back. Whenever you're able to bring security to digital assets, that on its own is a whole new venue for growth because digital assets, like I said, are the future, and we're going to use them very well in the future. I think paperwork and printing and all those things are something that obviously in the past, and tokenizing everything and creating digital assets that have value, that have confidential value, can have a lot of other values as well. Make them secure unlocks a new opportunity for Catch.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. And we did obviously, without promoting any specific tokens, did see a pretty significant increase in certain
Oh,
token
also, I don't
valuations
want to
recently. Go ahead, Keela. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
please.
I don't want to continue about our team because it's not nice to not mention the other folks. So we have also
Hmm.
Jonathan Nistrom. Jonathan is a business guy. He's a very savvy investor. And he had three successful exits. He was running actually a startup company back in the days, but he ran three. He failed with two, but three made it. And so he has three successful exits. My co-founder, Joe, also has been in cybersecurity for more than 20 years. He also has one successful exit in his previous company that he built. Back in the days, let me tell you what he built. That was really, really interesting. He built a variable password that Microsoft did build 7 years later. So he created an enterprise software, and he was concerned that people can hack that enterprise software and that all his hard work would go in vain. So he created a variable password that is based on time and device, the device you're using, so that every time you use his software, you have to use a different password. And that's how he protected his own inventions from hackers, just to give you an idea. And 7 years later, Microsoft creates the same variable password. And it was like, how on earth they do that? This is mine. He just didn't patent it back then. He wasn't so much into the business side of things.
No, that's
So
such a
yeah,
cool invention.
we have a very
Mm,
strong team. We're very proud of our team. Let me put it straight, and we need the strong team to execute. And we're constantly looking for more talents to join our team as well.
of course. And we're not going to leave Nicolette hanging, leading the marketing team here. We won't leave her off
Right,
of the mentions.
right,
I'll give you a chance.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Um, yeah, no, and that's such a fascinating story. And regardless of the monetary reward for that invention, it's still a very exciting technology. And it's so cool to be around folks creating exciting things. Um, so that was a super strong team. Important to be able to have a strong team to develop this solution to solve these problems. You mentioned the market size briefly in the beginning, but for folks who might have been trickling in, we're talking about over $80 billion target market or total addressable market for the identity verification market. Can you tell us a little bit about your business model and how you plan to drive revenue with Catch ID?
Yeah, it's a SaaS model, but not just SaaS. It's SaaS plus pay as you go.
Mhm.
And we made it this way so that the SaaS portion is not so expensive for most businesses, and it would be really depending on volume. So if you're gonna use Catch with high volume usage, then it's gonna be different pricing tiers. So we're making money securing a fixed income and on top of that, we're also securing based on volume additional income. So every time you verify your identity, you make a purchase, we take a cut, a percentage, a small tiny percentage, just like credit card companies do. So that will also provide us a very strong inflow of positive cash flow to our balance sheet. And obviously, this money we can at some point distribute it to investors. We can also reinvest it in innovating. We have to keep reinventing ourselves and making a much better product over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to continue to innovate to make sure that you stay competitive here. And in terms of the competitive landscape, can you tell us a little bit about other players that are trying to do something similar or what the industry standard is now? We talked about credentials and their shortcomings. Are there other cybersecurity solutions that people are trying to provide to get around that credentialing issue or any other kind of types of exciting biometric plays? You
I
don't
want
have
to
to
thank
name
you
any
for this
specific names.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much for this question because this is very important. A lot of companies are trying to market themselves as passwordless. I've seen it over and over. But when you look at the technology, you look at the product, it's actually a password manager. So passwords are still there. And one of the reasons why a lot of companies and businesses, or Apple, let's talk about Apple. Let's talk about the big high fly front runner in technology innovation. The reason why Apple cannot eliminate passwords is because it is only available, the Face ID is only available on the device itself. So once I'm using another device, I can't get access anymore. I have to use passwords. And that's a strong point for Catch. The reason why we're able to eliminate passwords is because we can provide you access on any device. So you don't need passwords anymore. And we're eliminating the vulnerability that I mentioned. It's a vulnerability having a password because it allows someone else to access my account from another device. And that's why Catch is very strong on security, even better than Face ID. And I proudly say that. And I'm very confident of every letter and everything I'm saying here because every other password manager is always kind of like imprisoning you on the in this device that you own. He only authorized that device to access the password manager and to access your account safely. Let's put it this way. And they couldn't protect you from compromised devices. But then what if I want to access, like I had a conversation with one of the Wells Fargo engineers, and he was like, yeah, if we want to access our infrastructure, if I want to access my workstation remotely from a device, from my friend's device, oh my God, I have to authorize the device itself to be allowed first to access. And there's an RSA application that they use, it provides a one-time code. And he has to answer some security questions before he can use that on top of that. He said it would take me a good 10, 15 minutes to get that new device authenticated so that I can access my bank just because there's something pressing that I need to do, urgent that I need to do. And so think about that, right? If you're able to access on any device, you're better than Apple Face ID. You're better than any other. But the most, I would say, so because you asked me what is the most, technology out there that is close enough. Amazon. If you go to a Whole Foods today, you can pay with your palm. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. It's a nice technology. The problem with Amazon is that, again, it's device based. So that convenience disappears once you're out of Whole Foods. On top of that, the problem in the device itself is we actually did study the device with one of the engineers that has built it, and he told me about the problem of hardware development. Like we've known about that long ago, but the bigger problem was that it incorporates an infrared camera. So infrared cameras are notoriously known to be dysfunctional under the sunlight in an outdoor setting when temperatures are very high in the summer. Like you can't use infrared cameras. Their confidence score really goes down the drain. They become dysfunctional. So Amazon, in a way, as a device, looks cool inside in a retail store, but let's suppose hypothetically you have that device with you in your pocket and you're on the go and you want to authorize someone or you want to authenticate, you make a purchase on your phone, it's not going to work. So again, if Amazon wants to compete with us at some point, and they will, of course, everyone will try to, fight, right? They would have to go to the drawing board and build everything from scratch. By the way, it took them about 3.5 years to develop Amazon One, which is really nice technology. I wouldn't say it's secure, it's pretty good, but again, it has some caveats and some, bad things that it makes it a non-starter for someone who wants to get convenience everywhere. And this is why we love what we're building. We're so proud, and we see something that is going to really change the world with Catch. And perhaps Catch will not be the only technology out there. I'm sure some other companies will try to copy us or do something similar. Who knows? But we know that if we are first, we have the first mover advantage. We are engaging first with clients. If they want to follow us, even if it's Apple or any other company, they have to put teams in place and they have to work on AI. You have to work on a lot of things to really catch up, and it's going to take them at least 3 years to catch up. So when you have the first mover advantage, we've seen it with other businesses. No one was able to eliminate them. I can mention Snapchat. I can mention even like if you think of Apple itself, for example, how many times they tried to kill other businesses, they couldn't. It's because when you have the first mover advantage, catching up is hard. Look, Sam Altman started OpenAI, right? I'm telling you, and you can listen to whoever wants. I became an expert in AI. I'm coming from finance, but I started learning how to code. But my team tells me they would need a lot of time to catch up with OpenAI because AI was the first mover. And now Apple, with all its deep pockets, all its engineers, cannot catch up with OpenAI. What did Apple do? They
They
had to
decided to
follow
license
open.
their Apple
They
Intelligence
signed
as
a
licensed
license.
largely.
Exactly. Apple Intelligence is literally running and powered by OpenAI. Just to tell you that, yeah, let's not just fool ourselves and think that, oh, like it's Apple and they have all the engineers, they have deep pockets, they can bruise any company and kill this guy and kill that guy. No, it's not really that easy. Software, if it was a hardware, is different, but software is very hard to build. And building strong
Yeah.
software and having the first mover advantage, will probably give you an advantage over many, many years and even decades.
That's fantastic. And you mentioned in terms of the competitive landscape, Amazon won in Face ID, but similar shortcomings for Clear, for anybody who travels to the airports and being able to use your facial recognition, also hardware-based, location specific. So it feels like to you, in terms of the device agnostic and location agnostic, Catch really has that first mover advantage, which is really exciting.
Absolutely. We think any technology that is based on device is a non-starter. People
Yeah,
want convenience everywhere, and people expect technology to do magic, especially in the age of AI, right? One click, you do things that used to take 3 months in 5 minutes. I was able to compose a song on Suno in 3 minutes. It takes ask anyone who compose songs. It will take at least 3 months to build that song. 3 minutes. We're in an age of AI, and people are expecting magic from technology, and magic can be delivered, and that's what we're creating with Catch. We're really creating magic, and we're so proud of what we're building.
that's exciting, Eli. I love that. And then for those who are unfamiliar, there's some great numbers that you include on your offering page. Here are some of them. 52 billion in total identity fraud losses in 2022. That is 1 year alone. And we did see quite a bit of an uptick, right, coming out of the pandemic. There's some opportunities that folks were doing there, but it does seem to be consistently high.
I think there's a
Well,
there's a trillion there. When the government printed $5 trillion or 4 trillion, if I'm correct, I think we've lost about $1 trillion just for fraud. And that was based on identity, by the way. Just think about that. We've lost about $900 billion to fraud during the COVID years, which is
yeah,
crazy. I can't tell you
unbelievable.
what $1 trillion can do.
Yeah. And a couple other fun facts that you have on your offering page. 40% of help desk calls are related to passwords. Talk about employee inefficiencies there. 40% of help desk calls are related to
Yeah, help
passwords.
desks at large enterprise, 40% of their calls are related to resetting passwords. There's a problem with logging in, signing in. They want to fix the password, or it's just password related. It's costing them so much money. And it costs, by the way, on an enterprise level, because you have that labor cost, you have the models that they have to deploy on their infrastructure. If you take that collective cost, it's about $70 to reset a password. Just think about that. If to reset a password, it costs them $70. So that's a lot of money if you take it over the days and the years. So
Hmm.
it's a big problem for the enterprise. And by the way, talking about enterprise, there we're trying to engage with the employees first. We're not trying to engage with customers for regulatory reasons. Regulators will not allow us to connect with customers right now. We don't have the regulatory requirements, but we're going to start with the banks, for example, financial institutions, with the employees, because employees is something internal, and we can work with them. And that will be also another venue. That's correct.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. And speaking of the employees, about 2,700 in annual average cyber spend per employee. And that's at small and medium-sized businesses, my understanding. So that is unbelievable how difficult it is
Right.
for those businesses to sustain those
Right.
that level of spending. Um, and you alluded to this, the time, right? 2 to 3 minutes to verify a client's identity on average. That might not seem incredibly unbelievable now, but I'll tell you what, with the Gen Alpha people that I know, 2 to 3 minutes is a lifetime. So I imagine people are going
Well,
to go,
two
go
to
ahead,
three
Eli.
minutes with every two to 3 minutes with every department. Like if you call
Yeah,
your bank and you're engaging with, let's say, the business debit card, or maybe some department that was about fraud, and it turns out that your problem is not about fraud. So you took 2 minutes to verify your identity. They sent you to another department, and they're like, "Sir, we have to re-verify your identity, please. What's your name? Blah blah blah. All those questions again. So another 2 and 3 minutes to verify with that other department. Come on, this is not this is not how the world should be running in the age of AI. Let's put it this way.
absolutely. Absolutely. So with these last 15 minutes, I want to cover a couple of pieces. I want to talk a little bit about kind of your past successes so far, and there are a couple of them here. And you started to kind of talk about them earlier, but there are a couple more that we haven't gotten into. I'd love to talk about what we think the future is and what you're excited about and upcoming technology releases and maybe even potential exit strategies. And then we'll do some closing remarks. But as we transition into that section of the programming, let's talk a little bit about the defensibility and IP. So you feel like you have first mover advantage, this exciting technology. I know you've already built out your first hand AI engine prototype. Can you talk about if there's any plans? Let's talk a little bit about your IP strategy, I guess, in general. I'll just open it up from there.
There's a lot of trade secrets, so that to protect ourselves.
Hmm.
Trade secrets
Hmm.
are part of the IP as well. But we have about five. No, so we're having this conversation with our attorney, patent attorney. It's a team. It's a team of attorneys, not just one, because there are six patents in total. We're trying to get as many patents as possible because that's the goal. The goal. I'm not sure if your audience is familiar with the patent space, but when you're trying to defend your technology and file a patent, the more low level you go, the better it is because you're protecting yourself on
We call
multiple
those broad
levels.
claims. The broader the claims that you can get approved for, the better.
Right, but because the patent office won't allow you to get a broad claim,
Mhm.
it will try to break it down into smaller patents. But that's also good because let's say you have A, B, C invented, right? Someone can come and say, well, I'm going to use A and C, and I'm not breaching your patent, right? Because you're using A, B, C. So if you brought in too much ABC, let's say I created ABC and he comes and used A and C, then he hasn't used B, then he can do the invention without any breach. So this is the thing. But if you take A, B, C, three separate patents, then if someone uses A or B or C or collectively, he won't be able to because you have three patents to cover that. So I wanted to just simplify it so that everything is clear. So we're trying to get that. We're trying to get as many patents as possible because that helps us protect ourselves. And so that if anyone breaches our IP, in the future, when we're well funded, we can defend that IP. Right now, we're keeping most of the things as a trade secret because the technology is pretty complicated. It's not something really easy to copy, but still, you want to protect yourself and have as many patents. So the strategy, why we don't have a granted patent yet? Like a lot of people ask me that question, and the reason is we don't want our patent to be granted because once it is granted, it's going to be published, and then anyone can get access to the invention itself and how it works. We prefer to commercialize it first and start bringing in revenues and be the first mover, and then the patent will be granted. That's fine. We're not concerned about that part. So this is how our legal team is looking at it. This is how we built our IP strategy to make sure that we're protecting ourselves and not really putting ourselves in a vulnerable situation where, if we get a granted patent, I can now literally go to the patent office and search for Apple latest granted patents, and I can know how their invention works, how their hardware works, how their software works. We don't want that.
Yeah,
We prefer to leave it um, uh, undisclosed until we're in the market and commercializing cash.
yeah.
That's
And
the
again,
strategy
everybody
we're
has.
putting. So we're talking about
I love it.
collectively like six patents in total.
Great. Great, great. Man, that sounds like a very thoughtful IP strategy. And unlike, trade secret patents, you do disclose and then you run out, eventually they do expire and then people can, that's where you get generics and things like that. Whereas trade secret lasts
Exactly.
forever. It's a different protocol, but there is no expiration date on trade secret. So starting off with trade secret, sounds like you have a very thoughtful legal team and you're really making sure you're implementing a strategy that backed by recommendations from the experts. And I do want to keep us moving because as much as fun as we're having here, I don't want to lose track of our time. We only have a couple more minutes, and I do have to hit some of these deal highlights. You alluded to them, so let's go through some of them. Visa chose Katch among the top five fintech startups in the United States. Congratulations for that, Eli. I'm super excited. And I know that you view yourself as more of a cybersecurity than a fintech, but you see because there's such a great application for that cybersecurity in the fintech space. You got to give them credit for recognizing how big of an impact Katch can be there. Um, and then I'll let you kind of there's two more that I want to talk about, but I'll let you add any really quick flavor if you'd like to on top of that, or I'll keep going to the other
Yeah,
couple
we
of
were
exciting.
we were very fortunate to participate in a digital identity proofing for community banks. So the FDIC about 2 years ago was running a sprint for digital identity proofing. So basically, they were choosing from about I think 5,000 companies in total that applied. They chose only 25 companies. So the filter was really tight. Let's put it this way. And we were very fortunate to be among those 25 companies. So who are the other 24 companies? Someone might ask. Thomson Reuters, if you know about Thomson Reuters, Lexus and Nexus, they sell identity services. IBM, these were the companies that are taking, and we were chosen as a team to participate among these big companies. We were like, wow, they chose our team to participate in this. And when we had a conversation with them, they told us about the value that this can create. Like they said, this is going to be really, really powerful. We love your product. And so we were able to, the goal of the participation is to actually provide solutions for community banks. So what was happening with community banks back then? There was a problem called, I think it was, yeah, it's when you create a synthetic identity. So with community banks, what's happening is the following. Someone goes to a community bank, he creates a credit account, and he uses a false identity data. So he can take your last name, my first name, someone else's social security number. And so when they send it to the system, they all go check, 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 because my name is available, your social security is available, someone else's last name is available. So the system will look at it, oh, all good, let's create that account. And they start paying their bills on time. They build that credibility. So not AI, banks have AI systems that kind of like try to detect anomalies and abnormalities in the payment of their customers. So as long as you're paying on time, you're building credibility, right? And so this is what's happening with the community banks. People create synthetic identities. They pay their bills on time for the course of the first 1 to 2 years. And then that scammer is really smart. He's building credibility. Now he has a clean record. He's going to take the loan, 50, $100,000, depending on how much they would approve him. And then the money disappears. So sometimes we've learned about one of the thefts that happened was about 1 million something. But for community banks, it's a lot of money. Like if a community
Mm-hmm.
bank has $1 million in losses, that can put them out of business. And
Yeah,
it
on one
is
account, that's brutal.
right. And that actually is very frequent as a problem. That's why the FDIC created that identity proofing sprint with community banks. And we were very fortunate, again, to participate among the top-notch companies in the world. And we provided, our solution for them. And we learned so much about what was happening on a federal level in the government at agencies. We got a lot of input. It helped us, even shape our own product. So yeah, that was such an amazing experience, and we were really fortunate to participate in this, and we learned so much. And what else I can tell you about that? But it was really cool. We built also contacts with federal agencies, so we have now our contacts there. We keep the contacts alive. We keep checking up with them every now and then, because we know once we want to commercialize our product, those connections are very important. We can talk to these people again and remind them of what we did and of our venture, and we potentially can start serving government agencies. If the FBI was hacked, then they probably need help.
Yeah, that's a great the idea of building and maintaining those long-term relationships with all sorts of groups, small, medium-sized businesses, providers, transactions engines, and government agencies, state, municipal, local, and even at the federal level. And I'm going to sneak in one more shout out because we have too many exciting things to cover here. So we're going to do one more exciting piece, then we're going to go into our last little bit. UCR, University of California, Riverside. We're doing a lot of California specific stuff here, folks, but do know feels like a national and global application for your software. But you happen to be in Los Angeles, and I'm also down here, and some of the success you've had is in California. So University of California, Riverside accepted the Katch team to their I-Cores program to conduct customer and market discovery with over 40 organizations. Can you give us exactly 1 minute about how exciting that is and what that means for the Katch team?
Yeah, that was very important. I mean, we were affiliated with the university, and we conducted research. It was very tough. Let's put it this way. That's not
Mhm.
my favorite thing that I've done with the University of California for one simple reason. Connecting with clients and banks and asking them how they secure their stack was something they didn't want to talk about.
Mhm.
I can tell you that we reached out to close to 400 institutions, and we only were lucky to get 40 respond. And that's over the course of 7 months, because no one wants to tell you how they protect their clients. They believe that if they give you that information, they're putting themselves in danger. And so it was a very tough cookie to crack. But we were fortunate to get at least 40 institutions. We wanted more. It's not enough 40, but that's what we were able to achieve. You're asking your customer about security, and that's not something they want to share with anyone. They would maybe they will think you're not really an entrepreneur. You're just making up to. So it's legit. I get it.
Yeah, no, that sounds that sounds like such a great program. Very difficult, but getting to 40, I know you want more, but you know, that's better than most and not, not as much as you'd like to, but better than it could have been, certainly. And then last little
Right.
bit, let's talk. Those are some great past successes. Let's spend this last couple of minutes talking about the future. What can you disclose? And again, I know there's a lot of trade secret, and then you're working through the IP strategy, but what's like one thing that you're excited about on the horizon that you look forward to as a potential update in the Katch Digital ID ecosystem?
The next stage that we're excited about is what we're thinking about for the future is called the session ID. So session IDs, I'm not sure, this is a technical conversation, but I'm just going to give you quickly what it is. When you're signing into your LinkedIn, so when you're signing into LinkedIn, for example, on your browser, you put your password, you put your one-time code, everything's good. Now you have an active account, right? You're signed in. The browser creates a session ID, right? Session IDs are the scary part in cybersecurity because once I have your session ID, I don't need anything else. I'm the master of the account and I can do whatever I want. And this is an area that we want to connect with Katch Digital ID. Yeah. We want to connect that area and secure it with Katch Digital ID so that someone cannot use your session ID on a different device.
Wow. Wow, that's really cool.
Let's say, yeah, let me give you a quick example. I just logged in with my hand scan, right? On this laptop that I'm using right now. Now that hand scan provided me a session ID that will only work on that laptop. If the hacker takes that session ID to another device, it's not going to work.
That's
And
cool.
we're talking about top-notch security here. Because that's how it happens today. What happens is that you put your password, you put your one-time code, you created a session ID. If the hacker can get that, he can use that session ID on any device. And now I'm giving LinkedIn as an example, but it can be your bank account. Session IDs are on every account you activate. And we're trying to resolve that problem because this is a huge problem in cybersecurity. And I can't tell you how much value we can provide with Katch on this point.
Well, I'm feeling more comfortable knowing that thoughtful folks like you are working on that solution because I didn't even appreciate that vulnerability. It makes me a little bit concerned, but I'm grateful that brilliant minds are working on it. So let's do our very last piece here. We're going to go into our closing remarks. We're going to do exactly two things. Outside of cash, which was always an ask, again, you're actively raising capital. Outside of cash, how can people listening to this recording or on the line right now, how can they help you advance? This say if they believe, hey, I believe in this, I want to support the Katch ID team. I've already invested or I'm not able to invest right now, but I want to help. How could they help outside of cash right now?
Please share our campaign page with your family, with your friends. Tell them about what you've heard from the CEO of this company. If you're impressed, if you feel this is the future, if you believe that this is going to change the world, please share it with as many people, friends, family members, people you trust, you care for the security. Look, Eric, the problem is that we're all vulnerable. And if we're able to get a system like Catch, it could be Catch, it could be any other company. But if we're able to bring such sophisticated systems to secure our identities, it it really will change the world and make a huge difference in every one of us. It's going to be societal inclusion because everyone will have access. We can democratize access. Having access on any device means anyone can get access. You don't have to have even a branch for your bank to service people in a remote area, right? Why? Because if they need cash, there's a billion CVS or 7-Eleven. They have ATMs. This is something just quick.
Yeah.
Banks, I've had a conversation with banks, and banks now they pay close to $1 million to maintain a branch every year. That's the cost of one branch. Think of Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo has 7,500 branch across the United States. That's $3.5 billion in cost. Wells Fargo makes every year net income 15 billion. So they're paying about 30% of their net income just to maintain branch. If Wells Fargo can eliminate all those unprofitable branches and make a lean business model for them, you know what that means? That means they don't need to charge you those fees anymore on your late transactions. Or if you fall before $1,500, they're going to charge you a fee. It means that they are going to be able to provide cheaper and affordable financial services to everyone. What that means, I can provide with Catch remote access. You can bank, get your cash from an ATM anywhere in the world. Because for them, let me be frank, it's cheaper for them to pay for the ATM network, that dollar fee or $2 fee per transaction, than maintaining the branches. Branches are a lot more expensive. So there's a lot of synergies and positive impact we can create with a product like Catch.
Well, I feel like
And
if
it
there's
does
any
just
Wells Fargo
invest.
folks on the line, then they got to send the wire. They owe you the consulting fee on that. That
So
feels
I
like
really
great. Do you
invite
have like a
people to take advantage and invest. And if they can't invest, share our page. Share what you've learned about today, about Catch, with your friends, with your family members. And you're giving an opportunity. Honestly, you're giving an opportunity to that person to make money and make a difference in people's life and democratize access. And everyone will be benefiting from this, not just people who invest, obviously. Oh, but one more thing. We had
sure.
now another incentive, just we're trying to incentivize people because we feel that we weren't able to communicate well the message when we first launched. Now we're actually giving Catch Pro, our professional service, free for life for anyone who invests over $250.
Very cool. Very cool. You can learn all about that
And
incentive
this is
on the
only
offering
during
page.
the holiday season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a moment there. So definitely go to the offering page, review that. I think that was a perfect way to do the closing remarks. That's why you should, that's the reason why you want to invest. If you can invest, share the word. That's what you can do to create value for them. I want to thank everybody, all the attendees listening in here a week out from Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for y'all. Definitely want to thank our fantastic panelists. Thank you, Eli, for sharing about what you're building here at Catch Digital ID. I'm reminding you guys that you can go directly to netcapital.com and search Catch Katsh, where you can learn more, review the offering page, see what you get when you invest, and then you too can invest through the platform. I also added a link back into the chat feature here in Zoom for those who are with us real time. And then you can always go directly to netcapital.com/companies/Catch Digital ID. Again, that's Katsh Digital ID. Again, you can review the offering page and offering statement. And if you're so inclined, you can join the Catch family. So please join me in thanking Eli for spending the time with us and finish off the cybersecurity conference well. Enjoy your time in Beverly Hills. I look forward to seeing you again soon, my friend.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you for everyone who attended for your interest. I really appreciate it, and thank you for having me again. And I hope everyone a great day.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye now. Thanks.
Bye.